Before we begin, take a quick moment to support the channel. If you enjoy deep, emotional storytelling, stories that explore the complicated corners of life, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps the channel grow and allows me to continue sharing powerful stories like the one you're about to hear. And if you stay with me until the end, I promise this story will leave you thinking about connection, loneliness, and the unexpected ways life can change us. Now, let me tell you something that I've carried inside me for a long time. Life has a strange sense of timing. Sometimes it throws the most unexpected twists into your path, just when you believe you finally understand where you're going. You think you've figured things out. You think your life is stable, predictable, manageable. And then suddenly something appears. Something you never planned for. Something that changes the way you see the world, and even yourself. If someone had told me years ago that I would one day find the deepest emotional connection of my life in the most unexpected place imaginable, I would have laughed. I would have dismissed it immediately. It would have sounded absurd, impossible even. But life doesn't care about what we think is impossible. And the story I'm about to share, though difficult to explain and even harder to understand, is the truth of what happened to me. For a long time, my life looked perfectly normal from the outside. I had a stable job that paid the bills. I lived in a comfortable apartment that I had slowly decorated over the years. I had friends I saw occasionally, coworkers I chatted with during the week, and the usual routines that make up adult life. But beneath all of that, there was silence. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that echoes inside you. Even when my apartment was filled with the glow of the television or the soft hum of music playing in the background, there was a quiet emptiness that never seemed to leave. It followed me from room to room. It sat beside me when I ate dinner alone. It lingered in the corners of my thoughts late at night. Loneliness is a strange thing. It's invisible to everyone else, but to the person feeling it, it can feel overwhelming. I had tried dating, of course. Like many people do, I downloaded apps, went on awkward first dates, forced polite conversations over coffee. Sometimes there would be a second date. Sometimes there wouldn't. But nothing ever lasted. Every connection felt temporary, shallow. Like two strangers trying to convince themselves they felt something deeper than they actually did. Eventually the effort became exhausting. That's when the idea of adopting a dog came into my mind. At first it was a simple thought, just a way to add a little warmth to my life. A companion to come home to. Something alive that would greet me at the door instead of silence. I remember the day I walked into the animal shelter. The place smelled faintly of cleaning supplies and nervous animals. Dogs barked from different kennels. Some jumped excitedly against the gates when people walked past. Others watched quietly from the corners. And that's when I saw him. Buster. He wasn't the most energetic dog there. In fact, he sat calmly near the back of his kennel, observing everything with quiet curiosity. He was a large golden retriever mix with thick warm-colored fur and eyes that seemed almost thoughtful. When our eyes met, something shifted. It's difficult to explain, but there was a calmness in his gaze that felt grounding. Not frantic like some of the other dogs. Just steady, attentive, present. I asked the shelter worker if I could meet him. When they opened the gate, Buster walked toward me slowly. Not jumping or barking, just approaching with a gentle confidence. Then he sat down in front of me. Buster had been asleep across the room, but the moment he heard me he got up and patted over. He nudged my hand with his nose. Then he rested his head gently against my shoulder. That simple gesture broke something open inside me. I wrapped my arms around him and cried into his fur while he stayed perfectly still, offering warmth and quiet comfort. It was one of the most genuine moments of emotional support I had ever experienced. After that night, something about our connection felt even stronger. Buster became my constant companion. Morning walks together. Evening routines. Quiet moments sitting side by side while the world outside continued moving. Sometimes I would catch him watching me from across the room with those deep, thoughtful eyes. Not just watching, studying. As if he could sense every mood and emotion passing through my mind. Over time, his closeness became more constant. He would lean against me whenever possible. If I sat on the floor stretching after work, he would lie down beside me, sometimes even partially on top of me. His warmth was grounding. his presence reassuring. And slowly, the emotional dependence between us deepened in ways I had never expected. There were moments when his affection felt unusually intense. He would nuzzle his head against my neck or press his body closer than most pets typically would. At first I brushed it off as normal dog behavior. But there were times when it felt different. More focused. More deliberate. One evening I lay on the living room rug after a long day, stretching my back and shoulders. Buster approached quietly, circled once, then lowered himself beside me. A moment later he shifted his weight and rested partially across my torso. I laughed softly at the unexpected heaviness and tried to push him slightly, but he only leaned closer. His head settled against my chest. The steady rhythm of his breathing mixed with my own. For a long time we stayed there without moving. And in that quiet moment I realized something strange. The closeness felt comforting in a way that went beyond the typical bond between a pet and its owner. It felt deeply personal, emotionally charged. And from that point forward, our relationship continued evolving in ways that were difficult to fully explain. Part of me questioned it. Part of me tried to create distance. But loneliness has a powerful way of reshaping boundaries when emotional needs go unmet for long enough. Buster never judged. He never asked questions. He simply remained present, devoted, attentive, unwavering. And in the quiet privacy of my home, the connection between us became the center of my world. Days continued normally on the outside. I went to work, saw friends occasionally, maintained conversations that sounded perfectly ordinary. But inside my apartment, the bond between me and Buster existed in its own private space, separate from the outside world. It became a secret reality, a strange mixture of comfort, emotional dependence, and complicated feelings that I struggled to fully understand. Sometimes guilt would creep in. Late at night, when the apartment was quiet again, I would question myself. Was this just loneliness taking control? Had I crossed a line without realizing it? But then Buster would walk over, rest his head against my knee, and look at me with that same calm devotion. And the questions would fade, because in his eyes there was no judgment, only loyalty, only presence. And sometimes, when life leaves you feeling unseen and disconnected, even the most unconventional forms of companionship can feel like salvation. That was the paradox I lived with. A life that looked ordinary from the outside, and a hidden world inside my home where loneliness, affection, confusion, and connection intertwined in ways I had never imagined possible. Even now, when I think back on those days, I realize how deeply human the need for connection truly is. Sometimes it leads us down paths we never expected. Sometimes it forces us to confront parts of ourselves we didn't know existed. But above all, it reminds us that no matter how independent we believe we are, the desire to feel seen, wanted, and understood is something every human carries within them. And that was the truth at the center of my story, a truth I kept hidden for a very long time. If this story made you think, or made you feel something, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Because sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that explore the complicated places inside the human heart. And there are many more stories still to come.